Caregivers. And today I have with me Stephen Martinez, who is, one second, I'm going to show you some TV magic here. There, here's Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you around from Brick. I've seen you in the studio with the Bluntly Stated and
Yeah.
stuff, and we're friends on Facebook. And I
Yeah.
know that you're a guy with cerebral palsy in a wheelchair. But what do you do? What's your
Um. Well, right now I'm one of the owners of Three Clips Media, which is a media company that's just in its infancy stages, and we work to put different sort of podcasts on the air, whether it's music or news. In my case, sports, but um, I also write. I have a blog, so we're gonna start to incorporate that into the company as well at some point. So I have a lot of different
you're like a media?
yeah, I have a lot of different things going on right now. So a lot of the times is I just don't want to be somebody that's speaking. I want to be somebody that's, you know, lending my opinion so that other people can find their voice, but find it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do what I do. Find yours in a different way. And this is why I want to commend you
Mm-hmm.
for, you know, being that the person that your son needs, because believe it or not, I have it in my mom. I have it in my mom where my mom, she'll fight, scratch, and claw, tooth and nail for me, and she won't, she doesn't take no for an answer. And she is very on top of, what services I'm required to get, what services I may not be required to get. And I think what gets lost on this sometimes is the work that you guys put in, the parents, the
Mm-hmm.
things that you guys do, the sacrifices that you make so that we can achieve our dreams and achieve the goals that we set for ourselves in life. So even a show like this, I think this is a great platform for not only us, but for you.
No, there's a lot of people impacted by this. There's the family,
Yeah.
there's the person with the disability,
Hmm.
and then there's the caregiver. And
Yeah.
the caregivers are, they're not paid well generally. There's different programs and stuff, but it's not, and it's a tough job.
Tough gig. Yeah.
Yeah, and and there's all sorts of weird things that happen because it's like, is this your friend? Is this your worker? So there's a lot of issues that happen, and then like you're saying, your mother's a fighter. I'm a fighter,
Yeah.
right? But we shouldn't have to be fighting for this.
Yeah.
This
I
is
hear you.
this is what the
It's
law
like
says you should get.
case in point. I'm glad you brought up the caregiver and things like that.
Hmm.
This is one thing. This is one rule that I try to,
Hmm.
employ. When you come work for me,
Hmm.
I don't want your day to feel like work.
Hmm.
I want to try to make you as comfortable as possible because then when you're comfortable, you'll go the extra mile in the work that you do. Because for you, while you're getting paid, you don't look at it as a job. We become, close, and you're able to express things to me. And I've been given the ability to connect with people and allow them to express themselves so that when it comes time for them to go the extra mile for me, like when they don't have to come in, but they come in anyway just to make sure I'm good, just to make sure I ate, just to make sure that everything with me is okay, that for me goes a long way because you do the same thing for them. And it's not just, hey, this guy's just a person that is working. This guy, we work together in building a relationship and building uh, a, a understanding that, yes, you work, yes, this is a job, but I don't want to just be looked at as a client.
Hmm.
I just don't want to be looked at as a number that you punch in on a clock and go, hey, I did my 9 to 5 or 9 to 4 or whatever the hours may be. And I think sometimes that kind of gets lost on us as patients because we have to do a better job of, I understand the caregivers there to give us care, but we have to do a better job of making their life or making their job and their work experiences better for them so that it can be reciprocated both ways.
And it's these little things, these little levels of respect and awareness
Absolutely.
that are really important. And
Absolutely.
people forget that the caregiver isn't
It's
really.
something as simple as a thank you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you're making me a dish, and I'm like, hey, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
man. That means a lot. Even as simple as, like me, I'm a morning person. I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, and I have myself some tea, and tea is like my daily thing. And Lester, which is his name,
Mm-hmm.
he knows that, and it's like, you want some tea? I'm like, yeah, I go, thank you, Lester. Even
Mm-hmm.
before he's even done making it or while he's in the process of doing what he's doing, I make sure that he knows that I'm
And you appreciate it.
appreciative of everything he does, even though technically this is what he's getting paid to do.
Yeah.
And I think, I met Rick in college. I met a couple other friends in college, so I'm very close with still to this day. This is my crew. These are people that,
College was important, man,
yeah,
because it was a socialization. It gave you friends who you still have today, right?
yeah. But not only that, what it's weird because I use the radio station was a medium for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was on the radio station and I was in there all the time and I had shows and you know I was very knowledgeable, but I was also very I was very forthright about my situation and I didn't hide my situation,
Mm-hmm.
but I was also very engaging, and I think there has to be something that uh draws you besides the chair. And I think a lot of times, and that goes back to being an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not introverted.
Mm-hmm.
I can get down and we can have an intellectual conversation. Or if you want to just laugh and joke, we can do that too. We can talk about different experiences in life
Mm-hmm.
that people relate to and go, man, this dude
Mm-hmm.
he's fascinating because it's not just he doesn't look at himself. Like my friends tell me all the time, dude, you're in a wheelchair, but I don't look at you as disabled
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you're able to communicate, you're able to express yourself. If
Yeah.
you and I think there's some stereotypes that come along with that. And one story, so I'm sitting in my brother's, we're at his house, and this was a couple years ago, and I remember it because we're eating ice cream, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
and I love ice cream, and he was like, man, you can be somebody. The sports knowledge you have, I wish I had. The way you look at things, I wish I can look at things that way. You can change the world, but you just have to start by, taking the bull by the horns, man. And I'm actually in the process of finishing up my very first book.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start sending it out to publishers very soon.
You said
Called
you heard it first here, right? This is my exclusive, right?
Yeah,
What's the book called?
it's called Triumph. Should be out.
Triumph.
Yeah,
Okay.
should be out probably middle of 2019 or maybe late 2019. And
Cool. And what's it about?
it's about my life,
Uh-huh.
but it's using sports as a backdrop, making comparisons between um, my love of sports
Mm-hmm.
and my life, and how they kind of blends in, and using life and sports as a paradox to each other, because people don't realize the daily regiments we go through in life. Like, you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you make your cup of coffee, you may go through what you go through. Sports players are the same way. Athletes go through things too.
Mm-hmm.
They rehab like I rehab. There's
Mm-hmm.
isolation, there's downtime,
Mm-hmm.
there's time when you're away from your family, there's times that you have to make certain decisions that you're like, and I think a lot of times in the disability community, they take the fight from you because they don't allow they tell you, yeah, but that's just too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it faster.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm doing it should be lauded and applauded and not just brushed off as some like, all right,
Right.
he did it,
Right.
move
Right.
on next. Like,
No,
and that's why your son being a comedian, I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him too.
Do
Man.
it.
I want him to make that big comedian, that David Chappelle money.
Yeah, man. That Showtime $50 million money. Don't walk away from it like he did, though.
Exactly.
New York School District 75 is the only one that can't be drawn on a map. That's because it comprises over 60 schools and 300 sites across the city, designed to teach children with severe disabilities. Only a couple of dozen parents turned out for Wednesday's council meeting at the John F. Kennedy Jr. School in Queens, a Tower of Babel kind of school, boasting families with 44 different mother tongues.
I want more translation.
Linda Chen, the city's chief academic officer, took the opportunity to show off her Chinese, but it was far from clear if enough was being done to reach such a diverse population.
念中文. So I was saying to her in Chinese that recently we've uploaded reports for every school, and you actually can access it in multiple languages now.
Another parent questioned if kids with behavior issues weren't mistakenly being folded into the city's special education programs, a common complaint.
So I guess my question is, and I know that it can't be done overnight or to the budget cuts, from what I'm being told, why are children that are on the spectrum being placed with children with behavioral issues?
District Superintendent Kelter Louisant denied this was an issue.
We don't. It could be that, a child can have autism, and another child that has autism as well may exhibit different behavior, because autism is a spectrum.
Ability Fierce asked Chen to comment further following the meeting, but she declined to be interviewed on camera without going through the press office first. While we appreciate her caution, we also feel that her inability to answer a few questions on camera following a public meeting is the type of absurd situation the disabled deal with daily, when something is technically possible, but only sometime in the undefined future. Parent and council member Diane McNeil gave the district a glowing review.
My child is not leaving until he ages out. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of different programs in the United States, but New York City has the best. And that is the reason why we don't leave.
And I feel like too, sometimes parents don't know how to express what they feel for their son or daughter that's disabled. They love them and they want the best for them, but a lot of times how they express their, I don't want to say love, but they express how they want their son or daughter to be isn't always healthy for the person, because then you make them feel guilt or, oh, I gave this up and I love my son and daughter, but I wish it was a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So I was actually adopted. So, my mom, she raised me since I was 1 year old, and so she 1.5 actually. So
she knew you had CP before.
Yeah, she knew that there was something wrong with me, but they didn't know exactly what it was. But she was willing to take it on, and she said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna love this kid.
So she's a super.
This kid needs it. He's gonna be, when I was, he's gonna be my kid, and we're gonna go through it together." And we did, and I beat the odds a lot because of her. I'm a successful writer. I work 10 times harder. I'm invested as I am because of her.
That's the other thing.
Because she didn't let me put limits on myself.
To get to normal,
Yeah.
right, or whatever that is. You've got discipline and you've got drive that a lot of people who take everything for granted don't. Right? Because if everything comes easy to you, you don't develop.
You don't. First of all, you don't appreciate it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times in life is we don't appreciate the simple things. Like getting to do this here with you, people are like, man, I gotta get up early in the morning, I gotta grind, I gotta schlep, I gotta. But I'm like, man, this is an opportunity for me to express my experiences, share my experiences, but also shed light on what we deal with as a community that is often not shown or not broadcast to the mainstream public. And a lot of times too is, I think what gets lost in translation is you got some gifted people that are disabled. You have some very gifted and talented people that are at the top of their game that can do a lot more than they ain't given credit for, or what they do better than anybody else in their profession. Like, for example, I have a friend by the name of Terrell. Speaking of a comedian,
Mm-hmm.
the dude is hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
He's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, these clubs won't allow him. When he was in New York, he's in
Oh,
Texas
the
now.
Comedy Cellar. How are you gonna get in the Comedy Cellar? It's in the basement. There's no elevator.
Sometimes too, that makes us feel like, damn, do I really want to be the center of attention for this specific reason?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is my wheelchair is what people gonna look at and go, yeah, he's only here because he's disabled. He's not really
yeah,
that.
that's the other.
He's
thing.
not really that
It's
funny.
The other thing
But-
we can't like yeah, exactly. Like, is he really funny or are we giving him sympathy laughs? Yeah.
Oh no, your son's hysterical.
Well, I know he's.
Nah,
I think he's. Funny.
I find him hysterical. The video you showed me, I was dying. You were here.
I'm glad he, you know, it's,
he's your son's hysterical. But your son can also, believe it or not, your son is also an innovator
mhm.
because there are no disabled comics.
No, well, there are a few. You know what I mean?
But I'm
there's
saying,
no
I'm
one-
talking
yeah,
about like stamped.
yeah,
Like you can go, all right, this person's that.
yeah.
And speaking of somebody, and a lot of times too, my friend Terrell, he uses his disability
Mm-hmm.
to be a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took me a half hour just to put on these goddamn socks.
Mm-hmm.
Like your half an hour you probably spent in the shower, hanging out, doing what you do. A half hour just to put on socks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wrong to laugh at if you don't.
Well, okay, it's like if I come in and I say, "Hey, you take a half hour to put on socks," ha ha ha. That's bullying, right?
Yeah.
But if he says, it takes me a half hour to put on socks, it's coming from him and talking about.
And the way he expresses, the way he puts it, is so hysterical. It's like, but and people told him who can walk. It's like, yo, aren't you offended when we laugh? He was like, no, the whole point is to get you to laugh because
that means
my humor comes from a place of struggle, comes from a place of pain. That's what I say. Most comedians are. There's some sad souls, but this is one thing I will say is that if I was able to walk, Mike,
Mhm.
I don't think I would have the experience. I don't think I would have the appreciation for my struggles that I have right now. For me, they ain't even struggles.
Mhm.
It's just the beauty of life. Not everybody's going to be painted or given the same opportunity or come from the same background. I believe if I was able to walk, I wouldn't be as down to earth and as open minded as I am to a lot of different things that most people would be very closed minded to.
Yeah, no, I mean, a couple of things that happened with my son that were interesting. One is because he couldn't run around like little boys. They run around, they do all sorts of boy stuff, and he had to sit. So he became very observant, very perceptive. Like he watched stuff, he understood stuff, he could see things. He also became very verbal because he wasn't moving. So he would talk like if I was having dinner with somebody and he would be part of the conversation. So at a very young age, he was already talking with adults and
interacting.
Yeah, so it was a different. So he got different strengths. You know what I mean? Like he developed stuff that he wouldn't develop if he was running around and trying to beat people up or whatever you do when you're.
Yeah, it's true, and believe it or not, I'm the same way. I'm able to read a room probably even better than most people are because I see things from 45 degrees. You see things from a regular, he's standing up. Me, I gotta look at everything around me.
And you gotta know like what's gonna be. Is there something that's gonna be a problem for me in this room?
Yeah,
whether it's gonna be somebody who doesn't like me,
different personalities,
or because of some obstacle.
Yeah, of course. And so I think what's interesting about your son is that I see that some of the similarities between us is that I'm able to just take a second and just appreciate, hey man, this is a very unique experience and unique opportunity because every day
stuff that's so depressing and something, and it's not.
No, but
like
the thing is, it's not depressing for me. Is if you're depressed, then you have a very closed mind and you're afraid to see a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to see a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times it's not, people are afraid of the optics
Mm-hmm.
of how something looks
Mm-hmm.
rather than seeing, all right, let me see what this really is rather than what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see the title of a movie, for example, and you can think, this movie's going to suck. And then you watch the first 20 minutes and you're like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Well, I think that the other thing is that you see somebody who's disabled and, you go, oh, they look funny. But then you meet the person and you stop thinking they look funny because they become a person.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? That the social. Now, the big problem is like people who are nonverbal.
Oh, yeah,
funny
yeah,
sounds,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like it becomes hard
Yeah.
because you don't really, it's hard to relate
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
to them. But again, you learn ways to, everybody's got different ways of communicating, and you can start, when you spend a little time with it, you learn a bit about their expression too.
Of course. And I think sometimes that even that, getting them to open up in their own unique way, it may not be like me and you are having a conversation now where you can get the back and forth and it's very not even that, but it's just easier to deal with dialogue and have an open dialogue. For some people, they aren't afforded the luxury to be able to have an open dialogue. For me, this is a luxury, being able to express my views to you and you express them back to me and go, oh, that's super interesting. So I think sometimes not everybody in the disabled community was given the ability or has had from birth the opportunity to express themselves, and so they look funny, or they may talk funny, or they may even not be able to talk at all. And so that's why I think words are very valuable. Don't waste your words. Use them wisely, because you only get a certain amount of words to be able to express yourself with.
You only get a certain amount of time. Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of times for me is I'd rather wait. I want to see stuff play out first. I want to see how how a room happens and things like that. So even with me, when somebody asks me my opinion on something, I try to, give them both sides, and I want to know what they think first before I get my input, because my input may not be the same as theirs, but that doesn't mean theirs is necessarily wrong. Theirs is just different because they haven't experienced what I've experienced. So for them, it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think different is shunned upon a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared of different.
Of course.
And it's a problem, but it's also what makes the world beautiful.
Yeah, I think different is awesome.
Yeah.
I think, because if we all were made the same way, life would be super boring and we wouldn't have this conversation we're having now. And I think too, we have to allow our different, or their quote unquote different, and our normal to become the world's normal. Where it's not, the dude's in a wheelchair, but he's a person.
Also, welcome back here. I'm talking to mothers of disabled kids who don't even know half of the services they're entitled to.
Of course.
Because they don't advertise this. There's nobody there who says, hey, your kid could get this, could get this, could get this, and could get this. And then sometimes they say they could get it, but when you go and get it, it's not easy to get.
And you got to go around red tape. And do you have this? Are you qualified? Like, for me, my power chair, they tried to decline me because I didn't have my manual chair for more than 5 years. I said, well,
you got cerebral palsy. That should be.
I mean,
it's like, when they call to check to make sure you still got cerebral palsy.
Yeah, and like they make you get like really like in depth with your disability. Like, it's bad enough that I'm disabled, but I gotta explain the disability to you.
Yeah.
How humiliating is that for me?
Yeah.
To have to tell you, hey, by the way, I still can't walk.
Yeah, yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah, yeah. Like, where did you hear about the cure? Because I hadn't heard about it. You know what I mean? So it should be.
Yeah, if somebody found it, please let me know. I'd love to. Invest.
I'll take it. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like there's a level of dignity. There should be some dignity in it.
Yeah, and a lot of it leaves you
timeliness on.
exposed. Yeah, a lot of it just leaves you exposed because they want to dig into your. When's the last time you had a chair, and
Right.
how much of a struggle is it to do this or that, and it's like, so it's like, damn, you make me feel really limited when this should.
Oh, that's the other thing.
You
It's like,
shouldn't make me feel limited to give me a service that I need. And then, another thing too, it's like people in that community, like they hate their jobs.
Yeah.
You talk to people and it's like, well, he's not qualified for that. Yeah. Why you gotta be so damn snobbish? It's your job. You chose this profession to help people.
Yeah.
And then you act like you act. How you know better than me? What? Just because you walk and you have freedom of movement, you're better than me, and it comes off like that a lot of the time.
Yeah. There's this sort of
It's like, oh, we're giving you this. You should be grateful that you're being given this service. Wait. Being given this? I didn't ask to be like this. You ain't giving me nothing.
Yeah, and if all the people with disabilities got the services they were entitled to, they would be more in the community, they would be more in the workforce, they would be creating more stuff and more jobs because.
But we scare society, Mike.
I know that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We scare society.
But that's why you got to be out. So
society doesn't want.
But people are scared of what they don't know. This is why I'm doing the show.
Yeah.
I'm saying, here's Stephen. Here's my issues, my son's issues. We want to take this and say, look, I hope you don't have to go to this place that we've gone to.
Yeah.
But you might with a parent who gets Alzheimer's. You might yourself have an injury, spinal cord injury. You might have a loved one.
Yeah.
So it's in all of our health. You don't know when that's gonna change.
Yeah.
You don't, and it makes our society better, and it makes our people better.
And I think a lot of times too, society when they understand us, they become more accepting. So it's not just, oh, this person's disabled, but you're able to adapt and say, oh, well, he's a human being just like me.
This has been Ability Fierce with Michael Astor, that's me, and Stephen Martinez. And I think we had some really good stuff today to talk about, and we're going to edit this up into a super episode. And then next week, I have somebody who's a parent advocate for District 75, which is the special ed district, and we're going to talk to him about some of the challenges there in education. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to keep this coming at you. If you have something that you want to talk to us about, get in touch. We can put you on the show. It's a loose talk. We're just trying to get people familiar with the issues that the disability community is facing, and that's also their families, their caregivers, that whole thing. And what do we want? We want to get it so that disabled people receive the services they're entitled to in a timely and dignified manner. And it's not a big thing. They don't have to become experts or super bureaucrats. They just get it so we can, as a society, progress and make it. So thank you.